I will call Pete Wishart, who is participating virtually, who's 2 minutes. Pete Wishart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is an immensely disappointing response from the Minister. Touring Europe means everything to our artists and musicians. The thrill of that first tour, crammed into the transit van with all your gear, 4 to a room in a cheap hotel in Paris, Rotterdam or Hamburg, using what's left of the fee for a post-gig beer. The dream that when you come back, it will be in a lavish tour bus staying in 5-star hotels. Gone. All gone. Musicians and artists mere collateral in this government's obsession in ending freedom of movement. Does the Minister acknowledge that visas and carnets will render these type of tours beyond financial reach to future generations of new musicians? Does she appreciate that it's not just the new musicians, it's the whole creative sector which will have increased costs and red tape? What does she say to the crews, the technicians, the set designers, the transport? We were promised by her predecessor that arrangements would not change. What has happened to that commitment? The EU said they were prepared to offer a 90-day deal. Why was that turned down? The government said they were holding out for a better deal, but we've ended up with nothing. How could that happen? Given the Minister's approach is totally contradicted by the EU, will the Minister provide complete transparency in all these negotiations? Mr. Speaker, our constituents really care about this. 263,000 have now signed a petition organised by our artists calling for this to get sorted. We don't want any more of the EU blaming. We've had quite enough of that in the past few years. We just want the government to fix this. The Secretary of State has said the door is still open. So will she walk through this and fix it out? Will she now restart talks with the EU immediately to get our artists the arrangements they need? Will she let the music tour freely once again?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, the honourable gentleman is right to point out that this is incredibly disappointing news for the music sector. It is not the deal that we wanted, but I'm afraid that in many other senses he has fallen for some very selective briefing. The EU did not offer a deal that would have worked for musicians. It's quite simple. The EU, in fact, made a very broad offer which would not have been compatible with the government's manifesto commitment to take back control of our borders. And I would remind him that the British people, the British public, voted for that at successive elections. To the extent that the EU proposals may have covered music, they also wouldn't have worked for touring artists at all. Their proposals covered ad hoc performances.